How do Mark?
Hello? Alan? Hello?
Hello?
Right, I'm phoning up about DJs. You know, like on some radio stations, they play a lot of new releases, but by the big top name bands. But when it comes down to these who's not made a record, you know, for like a couple of years, they don't bother playing them. Yeah?
Well, I don't know whether that's true or not, to be perfectly honest. I don't listen to pop music radio stations.
No, well, it is, though. You know.
Well, fine, it's true. What do you want me to do about it?
I know, but I don't see why it is, though. You know,
because they play the music that is currently popular.
I know, but if you listen to the thing is, your radio, right, and they have the latest releases, right, they always seem to play the big names like Duran Duran and Wham and all that sort of stuff.
It seems you're a little out of date, Mark. I don't think Duran Duran or Wham have made any records recently. They are currently finishing a single for Wham in America.
Not Wham, you know, like...
Well, those were the groups you said.
You know, the top names, and you know, what seems to be at the
Duran
top.
Duran have not been played for quite some time.
Well, what names seem to be at the top, but when it seems to come down to these groups who used to be in a couple of years ago, they not seem to be... They're releasing new records, but they're not playing them or anything like that on radio. You know, like top...
Excuse me a moment.
What?
In Red Rose Radio's current playlist, we have records by Samantha Fox. Now, she was famous a couple of years ago, wasn't she? No, she's got a new record out. George Michael's got a record in, I'll give you that one. Falco? Who the hell are Falco?
I don't know.
Atlantic Star? Who are they?
I don't know.
5 Star? Who are they?
I don't know.
I see.
Yeah, but...
Well,
like,
just a moment. A group called Heart. Who are they?
I don't know.
Mr. They're quite new.
Well, I've never heard them before.
Well, it would seem, dear fellow, that you don't know any of the new bands, so how the pig in hell do you know whether they're only playing the old ones or not? And that's Red Rose Radio, and we're hardly the great big super rock station. We are a popular music station.
Yeah, but
And we play popular music. The fact that prats like you have never heard of it just proves that you're a prat. How do, Graham?
Hello.
Well, what do you want?
There was someone on earlier talking about the violence in the Pleasureland at Southport.
Yeah?
Yeah, I live in Southport, and I know for a fact that until recently there were about 2 or 3, I don't exactly know which, emergency exits to which the emergency services could come to quickly. Now, at the moment, there's only one, and the reason for that is, I understand, because they wanted to expand the fair and put more rides in it. And because of that, it takes the emergency services an awful long time to actually come when there's any trouble.
Well, Graham, that's got absolutely damn all with the fact that people cause vandalism and trouble.
Well, no, I accept that fact.
Good, well, that's what we were talking about.
Well,
if you'd like to talk about something else, fine, let's hear it.
Well, yes, but the point I was trying to make was, because of this, that if any violence does occur in that area, then it's very difficult to combat and deal with when it happens. And that was really, in essence, the point I was trying to make.
Well, to be perfectly honest, all the emergency exits in the world wouldn't stop people who want to cause vandalism. They used to cause vandalism, when it was mods and rockers, on beaches. And I suggest to you that beaches have quite a lot of emergency exits, like the whole of the beach.
Yes, but less...
So it doesn't prevent vandalism, does it?
Less people get hurt, though, if the...
Less people get hurt on a beach than do on a concrete floor, yes. That's what you're saying. You're laughing at it. I find it stupid as well, but I'm far too decent a chap to laugh at you. How do Dominic?
All right, Alan, I'd like to talk about the YTF.
Well, you can't. There's nothing new you can say. If you think there is, write it down. I'll read it, and if I still think it's crap, I'll throw it in the bin. Hello, Kevin.
Hello. You had a chap on yesterday, and he was talking about the children should watch the domestic animals to learn...
Yes, we heard of the pervert, yes.
Yeah. Well, I think this is dangerous, because that's how I learned, and...
we know the rest. Goodbye. How do Roderick?
Hello. I'd like to talk about the space shuttle program. Hello?
Yes, we've made contact. What do you want to say?
Right. I'd like to talk about the space shuttle program.
Yes, you've told me that. Either get on with it or get off.
I'll get on with it. I think they should still keep it going.
Well, they are doing, so you'll be happy, won't you? How do Kenny?
Shankly, 81,
What a prat. How do Martin?
Hello, Alan.
I was in my dad's car the other day going down the street, right?
I don't know whether it's right or not. If you ask me again, I'll cut you off.
Okay. And there's this van in front of us carrying beer, and he had this big barrel, and this barrel fell on the car. On my dad's car. Is that we can
A van, was it? Was it a van?
No, well, it was not one with railings on the side. Is that we can
Railings? That's not a van.
Well, it's like a truck.
Well, it's not like a truck. It is a truck. It's not a van.
Okay.
Bring me back when you understand your lyrics and your story. Hello, Paul.
Take your scrap to CSM Preston, scrap metalman.
Thank you very much. Howdy, Billy.
Hello, Alan, do you know the difference between John Collins and the kick-off?
Yes. And I don't want you to tell it me. Howdy, Peter.
Hello, Alan. Do you know the difference between Joe Collins and a kick-off?
Yes, exactly the same difference as Pilly has. Billy. Howdy, Margaret.
Hello, Alan. On the this afternoon, I thought it was rather strange over the adverts. I won't mention the name of the adverts, but you have one where a daughter says to her dad about smoking. She doesn't want to lift to school. And this one this afternoon was a bloke saying a message over the radio to his wife about smoking because he didn't want his little boy to inhale the smoke. Which I think are very good. But the funny thing about it was, following that immediately was an advert for something for smokers. And I thought you weren't...
What was the advert for smokers? I'm not aware of that.
Smokers toothpaste.
Eucryl?
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
Mm.
Well, that's an advert for toothpaste, and
Yes.
not only smokers can use it.
Yes, but it stressed the fact that it was for smokers toothpaste.
Well, if you think about it, it's actually making the same point that the advert against smoking was making.
How come?
Well, it was adding to it by saying that they require a special toothpaste because their mouths are so disgustingly foul. Then it's saying smoking gives you a foul, disgusting mouth, and you need a special toothpaste to deal with it. So I suppose if you look at it in the right light,
Yes,
it is actually part and parcel of the ethos that smoking's a bad thing.
I can see that point, but I thought it seemed rather strange to follow immediately after the advert that, for not to smoke in front of the children. It's smoking in front of anybody.
I accept your point of view, but quite honestly, there is also the point that the two go hand in hand. They fit beautifully together. They're saying the same thing.
Well, maybe, but...
Perhaps it stresses the point.
It just seemed, a little bit strange. I thought, fancy advertising a toothpaste for smokers to clean their teeth. On the heels of an...
Indeed, I accept the logic of your comment. I just hope you will accept that there is an alternative logic.
Yeah, will do.
It would seem that our computer is prepared to accept my logic as well. Because it's all done by computer,
All right.
That sequences the adverts, and probably, I'll tell you how it happened, just out of interest.
Yeah.
When they put the advert into the computer, when they put in the details of the advert, they just put in the product, because the IBA have a regulation that says two similar products cannot be advertised in the same ad break, you see?
I know that, yeah.
Right, so one was an anti-smoking campaign and the other was an advert for a toothpaste.
That's right.
The computer, I don't think, is able to take every little detail about the script of the advert.
Right.
So I suppose that's how it
I
happened.
appreciate that, yeah.
Anyway, Margaret, it's a good point. Ta-ra.
Okay, bye, love.
Harry Jane.
Hello?
Is your name Jane?
Hello, I'd like to talk about...
What's your name?
Andrew.
Andrew.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew.
Hi, there's someone on earlier about nuclear arms, and I'd just like to say that Alan would be safe in a nuclear war because he's so fat.
No, I wouldn't be safe, would I? Because it'd hit the big things first, Pratt.
Yeah, well...
How do John?
Hiya, Alan. Alan?
Yes?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about why the big bands in this country, the pop bands, when they get mega big, they don't do the small venues.
Well, why don't they?
Well, that's what I mean, that's what I want to know.
Because they can't make the money.
Well, they do Birmingham and Wembley.
Because they can't make the money.
Yeah, but they can, you see,
They can't.
Yeah, but we are the people that sort of make them big.
Well, it doesn't matter. They don't care about that. They've made your money.
Well, that's the point, you see, that's what I'm getting at.
Well, stop buying their records. If everybody stopped buying their records, they would go down the ladder and then end up doing the small clubs again.
Yeah, but I like them so much.
Well, stuff. They're taking advantage of you. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, but I just don't see why they can't do the smaller venues. Like
I've told you why they can't. They don't want to. They can't make the money.
Well, they must be able to.
Oh, come on, will you listen to me, for crying out loud. When you see that they can fill Birmingham, the exhibition centre, or whatever they call it, with something like 10,000 people at 25 quid a ticket, why should they do something like, I don't know, Manchester Apollo, Blackburn, King George's Hall, the Preston Centre? Why should they do any of those things?
Because they would still be making money if they did those.
Yeah, but they're interested in making lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of money.
Yeah, but
you don't realise what it costs to put a tour on, do you?
Well, to a certain extent, no. But they
To every extent, no.
Well, they
It
could
can
do their own
cost,
venue.
to put a tour on these days, it can cost £1 million. You need to get the brass back to make sense.
Yeah, but they could do the.
Oh, for crying out loud. Go
They
on.
could do the larger venues.
Well,
to
first-
make all this money.
First of all, let me tell you.
Yeah.
That the shows that they design for the large venues and the shows they design for big name bands with all the massive lights, lasers, smoke, and all the rest of it, won't even fit on an average stage.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, but what? What do you think they do? It doesn't work like that.
it does. They can design.
It doesn't.
Oh.
The evidence is it doesn't. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on picking complaining, would you?
Yes, I would. I mean,
You wouldn't. You'd be complaining if they weren't doing it, and they're not doing it because they can't do it, gobhead.
oh.
What a smacker. How do Aston or some Austin? Austin smatters out. How do Jana?
Hello. You were talking earlier about the violence in Southport at the weekend.
Well, I wasn't, but somebody was.
Well, all right then. And you were saying that they would go to Oswestry for trouble. But when you think about it, the kids in Southport, the amount there is, the Liverpool kids know that that if they come here, they're guaranteed trouble in Southport.
Are you telling me that the people of Southport are so violent?
it's
That's what you're saying.
no.
That's what you said. You said if they come to Southport, they're guaranteed
People
trouble.
come to Southport for a day out, and
Yes.
so do kids from, say, Preston or wherever. So
So what are you suggesting as a course of action then?
Pardon?
What are you suggesting as a course of action to prevent this?
Liverpool children under 16 shouldn't be allowed into Southport without a parent.
Oh, I see. So we start, what? Searching everybody? Asking them to produce birth certificates at the border?
No, you don't have to do that. All
Well,
you
what do you
have to
do then?
is
Do you
look
just
at
guess?
them.
You look at them.
Yeah.
Who does the looking?
Excuse me, but have
Who
you
does
ever
the
lived
looking?
in Southport?
Who does the looking?
Well, there's plenty of police on the station when they come in.
Oh, I see. So we have the policeman on the station and they say, I'm sorry, you're too young, get back.
Well, they just shouldn't let them buy the tickets anyway. They shouldn't.
Oh, I
let them-
see. So now
No,
we're
they
going to have the
shouldn't
police
let
at
them
every
buy
station on the
a
way.
ticket. They should have proof that they are 16 and over
I'm sorry,
when they do
Jana,
searches.
this is a free country despite people like you. And people have the right to move about in this country. And people died. Millions of people died for the freedoms that exist in this country. And we're not going to let a few thugs throw those freedoms away. You may well want to. You may want to throw up your hands in horror and say, let us not allow them into our town. But I'm sorry, this is a free country.
Yeah, excuse me, but have you ever lived in Southport?
What has that got to do with it?
What has that got to do with it? You've actually got to have lived here to experience what goes on in
Don't
the
talk
summer
utter
and the
crap,
bank
madam.
holidays. I'm not talking crap.
Madam, I have lived, not in Southport, but in other holiday places. I have even lived
And
in
have
Liverpool,
you lived
where
in
you
a,
believe...
in a town that neighbours Liverpool?
Yeah, I've lived in Liverpool and the town that neighbours Liverpool for most of my life.
And have you lived in a seaside resort?
God almighty. I've already answered that question, madam.
Yeah, well, you're not letting me ask
Listen,
my question.
You've asked the question and I've answered it. Now let me tell you, if you are saying the solution to vandalism and violence on the streets is to forbid underaged, and your age limit seems to be 16, Liverpool people going about the country in the normal way, then I'm sorry, I reject it in its entirety, and I believe it is a despicable point of view for a human being to hold. If you want every single 16-year-old banned from the streets, I could actually listen to the logic of that. But Liverpool people aren't the only thugs in the world, let me tell you. There are even thugs in your beautiful Southport. There are even murderers in your beautiful Southport. So don't come here with your holier-than-thou attitude. Stick your holier-than-thou attitude, madam, wherever you wish to stick it. Goodbye. How do Joe? Goodbye, Joe. How do David?
Hello, Alan. got a problem with their I'm thinking of going for their compensation because I put an advert in a paper and they accepted the advert, and then they phoned me back and said that they're not going to put the advert in because my brother owes them a bill that's being unpaid. Well, I've put an advert in and they've accepted. You know, can I get compensation? They offered me money back.
What compensation do you want?
Well, they ended it.
What compensation do you want?
Well, I had to trek up and down town to go to the...
I asked you what compensation you want.
Inconvenience.
That was all. Inconvenience? What inconvenience has it caused?
Well, because I went to the particular shop.
What thing have you suffered a loss?
Time, trouble,
Time?
embarrassment.
Embarrassment?
Yeah.
What embarrassment? Who knows?
Well,
only the people you've told. You brought the embarrassment upon yourself.
I haven't because I didn't, every time I put an advert in with them...
Why don't you just get your disgusting little snot of a brother to pay his bills? Maybe he'll give you the money. Maybe he'll give you the money. Goodbye. They don't have to take your ads if they don't want to. Hello, David. And David has gone, and we're all glad about that. Hello, Christine.
Hello, Alan. I think that motorway contractors should be penalised if they've not finished work by a certain date, because anywhere you go these days on the motorway, you're delayed by an hour or two.
The implication of that statement is that they are overrunning on their time, and that is a rare occurrence on motorway work these days. Never mind, it is now midnight.
The Midnight News, this is Steve Allen. An Arab woman described as an explosives expert is suspected of planting the bomb which blew a hole in a TWA jet over Greece, killing 4 people. The suspected bomber has been identified in Italy and Greece as May Mansour. She got off the plane the first time it stopped in Athens after leaving Cairo. As the plane took off for Rome and then finally to return to Athens, she was waiting in the transit lounge of Athens airport. The woman then boarded a flight for the Lebanese capital, Beirut. Education Secretary Sir Keith Joseph has defiantly told the second biggest teachers' union that his new 16-plus exam will go ahead despite their opposition. The NAS-UWT meeting in Scarborough has decided to join the biggest teachers' union, the NUT, and refuse to take any part in the GCSE exam, which they say hasn't been properly planned. From Scarborough, Mark Mardell reports.
Sir Keith says there isn't as much money as some would like, but the new exam is well-resourced and will certainly go ahead. He says the teachers' boycott is very wrong.
This does not seem to me either fair or reasonable. It will not seem fair or reasonable to the pupils or to their parents.
The teachers themselves sat in stony silence, refusing to applaud Sir Keith as he promised them he does care passionately about Britain's schools. Mark Mardell, IRN, Scarborough.
The aircraft carrier HMS Illustrious limped back into Portsmouth Harbour today after a fire destroyed a major part of its propulsion system. The 20,000-ton ship was due to lead an 8-month arms-selling tour of the world. But as our defence correspondent Paul Maurice reports, the whole exercise may now be cancelled.
Illustrious was just off the Isle of Wight when the 165-ton gearbox, the size of a semi-detached house, caught fire, and the heat was so intense that no one has yet been able to enter its fireproof compartment. The ship's captain, Alan Gross, however, is playing down the importance of the blaze.
Embarrassment, I think, is perhaps a little strong. Clearly we're disappointed that, in a way, perhaps the largest unit, and you may say the key unit of the group of ships, but we weren't the only ship in Global 86.
3 other of Britain's newest frigates and destroyers may now continue the tour, with Illustrious catching up if she's repaired in time.
Former call girl of the 60s, Mandy Rice-Davies, has been introduced to Princess Anne at the British premiere of a film in which the infamous mistress stars. 23 years ago, Mandy Rice-Davies was at the centre of a sex scandal which brought down the government of Harold Macmillan. But last night she was in the lineup of actors from the new film Absolute Beginners, who chatted to Princess Anne. Ms Rice-Davies describes her character in the film, a landlady called Ma.
Ma is a kind of randy landlady who is obviously married to the hero's father. And we live in Pimlico. She's a rather down-market character who runs a boarding house and has a couple of Maltese lodgers.
England's cricketers were bowled out for exactly 200 on the opening day of the fourth Test match in Trinidad. At the close of play, the West Indies were 12 without loss. Independent Radio News.
Right, you lot out there on Red Rose Radio, my mate Jim Bowen is hosting Bullseye at the Guildhall on Friday the 11th of April. You can win a trip to Australia with Qantas, National Travel World and Red Rose Radio, so be there.
Attention all decision makers, sales directors, sales managers and buyers. You cannot afford to miss the Lancashire Industry and Commerce Business to Business exhibition at the Exhibition Centre, Norbreck Castle Hotel in Blackpool. This extravaganza on a wide cross-section of industry takes place on the 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th of April, with over 200 companies represented. It's the Northwest's leading industrial event. So make a date in your diary for the Lancashire Industry and Commerce Business to Business exhibition at the Norbreck Castle Exhibition Centre, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th of April.
Looking at Leo's Carpets for a beautiful new look in 86. We have the very best selection of carpets in the area, including a lion-size range of wool carpets. In fact, if you can't find the carpet to suit you at Leo's, we don't think you'll find one anywhere. Leo's Carpets open 6 days and late night Thursday at Cherry Tree Blackburn, just 15 minutes from Preston, Chorley and East Lancs.
Leo's Carpets, Leo's Carpets.
Easy to get to and no problem parking.
These next few moments of peaceful melody are brought to you by International Ford. You see, on the quiet, we can give you the best car deal around. Call into International Ford at Garstang Road, Broughton, or phone Preston 862 601. And you'll hear why.
Ring him if you dare. Allan Beswick, the late night show.
Welcome to Friday at 5 past midnight. If you wish to join us on the phone in, the number's Preston 561,000. Hello, Brian.
Hello. I'd like to make a few comments, if I may, about the news today that said that a lot of Americans were refusing to come to Europe because they're frightened that the planes...
Make your comments.
I'm making it. They're frightened that the planes that they're flying on are going to get bombed. Well, I would suggest it would be a good idea to keep the rest of them out if we bombed all the planes.
Drop dead. How do Emily?
Hello, Alan. I'm very concerned about the never-ending attacks on people, muggings, etc. And especially one case last week where a very loving middle-aged couple were robbed and knocked down to the ground. As the lady victim got up, she felt dizzy, so her husband attempted to take her into a nearby pub where staff tried resuscitation. All in vain, the lady was dead. After post-mortem was stated, she had died of natural causes. Whilst I do not question the pathologist's expertise, I feel this lady will be alive today only for the shock and stress she suffered at the hands of these thugs. So, if there will ever be cause, so there's no inquest. So if and when the culprits are caught, Alan, I take it they won't ever be sentenced for accused of manslaughter or murder. Is that right?
It's not altogether certain, Emily. Just because the coroner's court says she died of natural causes, if there is sufficient evidence to bring a case of manslaughter, should they ever catch the perpetrators, then they will be charged with manslaughter. But of course, the coroner's court decision will not by any means assist the opportunity or the chances of getting a successful conviction for manslaughter.
You see, there was no inquest, you see, because of the pathologist's report, you see. And so there's not a lot to, you know.
Well, Emily, the coroner has the right, if he sees fit, to investigate any death within his jurisdiction.
Yeah,
So if there was no inquest, it would seem that the coroner has decided that there is no need for an inquest.
Well, don't you think they could say natural cause?
Emily, it is within the realms of the pathologist. It is within the realms of his power to put what he thinks. Indeed, it is his legal obligation to put what he thinks caused or contributed to the death. Now, he chose, for reasons known only to himself, not to put down that she died as a result of a stress caused by that attack. Now, he chose not to do that.
That doesn't seem very fair, does it, Alan?
Well, on your say-so, no. On the pathologist's, who is the expert in the field, he obviously feels that it is fair. You don't think he did it merely to let these people off with a serious crime, do you?
I wondered if there could have been a codicil sort of situation whereby he stated...
Well, I don't think the word you need is codicil. He could have said, if he so desired, he could have said, this person died as a result of, let us say, heart attack or whatever, brought about during, and then itemised what brought it about, a physical assault.
Yeah. What about people dying, it's on the same subject really, dying of broken heart, you know, and their children have been murdered or...
I think it's very difficult ever to be... You cannot... Well, it cannot be.
It's not accepted, you see, is it?
Well, it cannot be.
No.
You'd never bring the evidence. How do you prove somebody died of a broken heart?
Only, well, you see, you know, the...
Emily, how do you prove, was the question? Because that's what the court will ask. Prove it.
I suppose only the close relatives wouldn't
Well, the close relatives won't know. They'll only have an opinion.
You know,
They'll only have an opinion, and opinions aren't accepted in court.
Yeah.
The question, Emily, is how do you prove it? There's no point bringing people to court for crimes that you cannot prove they did.
No, well, in this other case, the lady that's died this week, these people, folks that have done this, they will be sort of laughing through their hats sort of thing, you know.
Well, I would advocate to them that they do not yet laugh through their hats, because it is still possible that they will be charged with manslaughter. It seems you can't hear me anymore, Emily. Never mind. Sorry about that, Emily. You seem to have disappeared into the ether. Hello, Fred.
Hello, Alan?
Yes?
I'd like to say I don't think it's right that motorists should be charged road tax on both the disc and on petrol at the same time.
They're not charged road tax on the disc.
State.
They're not charged road tax on the disc and the petrol at the same time. They're charged purchase tax on the petrol and road tax on the disc. So you're satisfied, I'm sure. I've forgotten who. Andrew.
Hello there. Alan?
Yes?
Hiya. I've solved all these people who live in Southport. I've solved all the problems for them.
Go on.
All they've got to do is get the American Air Force to do an air show over the top of them.
Yeah, they'll all be dead.
Yeah, run a bombing trial over the top of Southport.
That's it.
Liverpool.
They don't have to do it running it over the top of Southport. Just anywhere really. Aiming at Blundell stands, it'll get Southport with the Yanks doing it.
Yeah, well, as I say, the thing is, if they do the trip over Southport, they're bound to flatten Liverpool.
Oh, yeah, probably the whole of the West Coast. Trouble is, they might get Blackpool as well.
Well,
you know what them Yanks are like.
No, be fair. I mean, the number of air shows I've been to, like Barton and things like that, they're always sort of literally miles out. It takes them hours to find the bleeding airport, the airport, to be honest with you. There's no problem. Liverpool will be flattened.
I see. Well, if that's the answer, you must get in touch with Mr. Reagan, but say it carefully, because if you say we want Liverpool flattening, there's every chance he'll nuke it. Or just Southport?
Just say Southport and they'll flatten Liverpool.
Okay. Ta-ra. How do Zelda?
Hello, Alan?
Yeah.
I think dog licences should be put up.
Put up where?
Put up in price.
Oh, I see.
Because there'll be less...
What to?
Oh, I'd reckon about 20 quid more.
20 quid. 20 quid more? So
yeah.
£20.76?
Yeah.
Strange price. Never mind. You want dog licences to be £20.76? Smart. How do Anthony?
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk about the amount of houses being built in Lydiard.
Why?
Well, I think it's terrible the way the countryside of Lancashire and Merseyside is being destroyed.
You don't think it's terrible if you had nowhere to live? How do Anthony? We just did, Anthony. This one's a Tony.
All one.
Yeah.
Look, I'm ringing up because since I've been over here, sick and tired of the coverage that's on the British media.
The coverage of what?
Coverage of South Africa.
So?
It's very,
we'll go back home. We don't really care. But if you don't like our television, go and watch your own in your fascist country.
But you never...
I don't care. Go away. Get off my programme. How do... Tim? Thank you. How do Justin?
Hello?
Yeah.
I like to talk about pedals.
Well, I wouldn't. I'll do to Chris after the break.
For new and used cars, look no further than Barker's. Right now, up to 150 used cars are in stock and ready to drive away. From an incredible £100 to £10,000. Ask about our special low-rate finance offer on the award-winning Fiat Uno. You can't beat Barker's for the best deal in Fiat. Barker's Fiat, King Street, Blackburn. Phone Blackburn 52981. People buy better at Barker's.
Barker's Blackburn, the Fiat.
I'm here at the Hazelmere Industrial Estate, just 1.5 miles from the M6, to follow up reports about... Excuse me, sir, what's the rush?
It's the Hazelmere Estate. It's ideal for my business. 36,000's already gone, and there's only 3 units left of 14, 28 and 42,000 square feet.
You better be fast on yours then.
Eh? On what?
On your feet.
Oh, absolutely.
If you want to pick up some square feet at the Hazelmere Estate, you've got to be on your toes. Talk to Derek Wade and Waters on Preston 323 666 and get your business on the right footing.
Blinking egg, Dad. Why don't you get a decent radio to match this flash car?
Well, that one cost an arm and a leg, but it's never been much good.
You need to contact West Horton Car Radio, mate. They've got superb systems by Blaupunkt and Panasonic. Hey, and they've got the Blaupunkt E-Stock range at less than half the normal price. None of this distortion like with one of them.
Blaupunkt what?
Blaupunkt. It's German, isn't it? I thought you were supposed to be brainy. Hey, you can also get electric windows, vehicle alarms and car phones fitted by West Horton Car Radio.
So, find the right station with West Horton Car Radio, Church Street, West Horton. Phone West Horton 814-229 before you crack up.
Don't miss Act One's production of the musical Sweet Charity at Preston's Charter Theatre from April the 29th to the 3rd of May. Sponsored by MPH Facina Windows of Preston in association with Red Rose Radio, Sweet Charity is the hilarious story of a warm-hearted girl who gives her love and her money to the wrong man every time. Set in New York during the swinging 60s, this musical experience includes such great songs as Hey Big Spender and If They Could See Me Now. Tickets are available from the Guildhall Preston, priced at £2.50 and £3, with reductions for senior citizens, children and parties of 10 or more. Get your tickets today.
I'm empowered, indeed overjoyed to tell you, that there is still just time to take part in the write-in competition this week. You could win the top 3 albums for the first correct answer out of the hat on Saturday morning. You could also get a free go at the jackpot on It's Your Turn. The jackpot prize in April is a weekend in Jersey this year, in fact this spring. And the question, in which television series has the character Moxie become an Irishman? Send your answers on a postcard, sealed down envelope, or in a letter to me, Allan Beswick, Red Rose Radio, P.O. Box 301 Preston, PR11YE.
Allan Beswick.
Hello, Chris.
Hello, Alan. I'd like to complain that the tax on cigarettes is excessive. I mean, what we pay on cigarettes as smokers is far too much for what the government actually says they need it for the national health and all this.
I don't give a damn. I'm glad they're taxing you. I wish they'd double it and reduce my taxes.
But
I have to put up with your exhaled filth, so I think it is only right that you help me pay my income tax by paying the astronomical and some would say exorbitant amounts you are required to. If you don't like it, don't smoke. How do Ian?
7 seconds, yeah.
How do Glenn?
Alan? Alan?
Yes, we've done that.
Yeah, you had a gay bloke on one night last week. And he said that there's nothing wrong with gays. Well, I think that they should all be shot.
Then you're a pleb. How do Michael?
Hello, Alan. I phoned you last night trying to make a point about the DHSS, and you said I was incorrect. I said at the time that I believed you had to have a fixed address before you could claim. Now, as you say, you corrected me on that.
Are you telling me that every single tramp in this country cannot receive Social Security?
Well, that's what I'd like to know, because
I've told you.
phoned them up.
Well, I don't care what you phone them up. I suggest you go to your nearest Citizens Advice Bureau.
I phoned them as well.
I said you go to your nearest Citizens Advice Bureau. Also go to any welfare rights place you like. It is possible. It's not easy, but it is possible to get your benefit paid over the counter on a daily basis.
Under what circumstances?
I'm not altogether clear, but it is possible.
Okay, thanks very much.
Pleasure. Now do Anthony.
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk about everyone in the CND.
About what?
Everybody in the CND.
You don't know everybody in
Well, I'd
CND.
like to talk about... I think
If you'd like to talk about the thing that CND stands for, or the policies of CND,
Well,
feel free, but don't talk about the people, you don't know them.
Well, I think the people in the CND...
No, I'm sorry, you were given your chance. You apparently don't have the brain to take your chance. Hello, Paul.
Alan, a funny thing happened to me the other day, right?
I don't know whether it's right or not. You were warned earlier. How do Vicky? Vicky appears to have gone. How do Jimmy?
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk about all these Ouija board things, you know.
I don't know.
Well, all these loads of Ouija boards.
Yes, I know what you said. I just don't know what you mean when you say you know. So don't say it again. Tell me what you want or get off.
I'd like to, you know, find out about all these.
You said you know again. Goodbye. How do Charlie?
Hello, Alan. I would like to say the vast majority of people who are wrong.
How do you know?
Because I know.
How do you know?
Because I know.
You don't know the vast majority of people. What is the population of Great Britain?
About 57 million.
Right, and how many have you spoken to?
Oh, about 56.
56. There's
Yeah.
a million you don't know about. I don't count that as a vast majority. Goodbye. How do Ian?
Hello? I heard you playing football.
You heard me playing, or you heard that I am?
You're playing five-a-side football.
Well, you heard correct.
Well, what happens if you fall over?
I've no idea. Perhaps you should pay your money and come and find out. How do Alan?
Hello, Alan. Last night you had a quiz about sarsaparilla.
It wasn't a quiz about sarsaparilla.
You don't remember it?
It wasn't a quiz about sarsaparilla. It was a quiz about who drunk it.
That's right. Can you remember who drank sarsaparilla out of a dirty glass?
Oh, just a minute. Oh, yes is the answer to that.
Can you tell me?
Oh, no! Piggy Nell.
You want a clue?
He said, I want a sarsaparilla. And the guy said, a sarsaparilla? And he said, out of a dirty glass. It was Bob Hope.
That's right.
Hey, knock out!
If you stay on the line afterwards...
Go on.
I'll get my wife Alice to take your name and address and
And
I'll
you send me a T-shirt. Ta-ra.
Good night.
How do, Stuart?
Hello, Alan. I thought I'd talk about video nasties. I think they do have a right to ban them because they do damage your mind in some ways.
How do you know? Have you watched any?
Yeah.
Are your mind damaged? Is your mind damaged?
In some ways.
It is. Well, I don't talk to cretins. Your mind's damaged. I'm not talking to you. How do Dave? How do Paul?
Hello, Alan.
Yeah.
Why is the American Coca-Cola factory happy?
Why is it happy?
Yeah.
I think you're going to tell me, and I think I'm going to regret it. Go on.
Because they've blown 7 up.
Goodbye. How do Paul?
Alan? Alan?
Paul.
All right, Al.
All right, Paul. Well, if that's all you want, we've gone. How do Steve?
Hello, Alan. I'd like to point out that Scousers are not the lepers of the country, and will you please leave us alone?
I've not touched you. I was defending you a moment. I was defending you a moment ago.
Yes, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Well, I'd like to point out...
How come half of you swear?
Oh, did I swear?
No, I said how come half of you, when you come on this programme, use filthy language?
Oh, well, I'm not.
Well, I'm not suggesting you are, but you said Scousers are not lepers. On this programme, they make themselves lepers by their foul, disgusting language.
Well, I apologise for my...
That's very kind of you, thank you. How do Steve? How do Ian?
Hello, Alan.
Too young, go to bed. How do Kevin?
Hello?
Yes?
I reckon the students, their grants, they should be cut by at least 200, and that should be given to teachers, you know.
I see. Well, I'm glad you agree. How do Richard?
Yes, I see.
How do Stephen?
Hello?
Yep. Well, I'm fed up of it already. When you've got fed up, no doubt you'll put your phone down. How do Sean?
Hello, I'm talking about, you call yourself a popular music station, yeah?
I don't call myself a popular music station. Red Rose Radio is a popular music station.
Well, you were talking to some bloke earlier on.
I know what I was doing and I know what I said. Would you like to challenge what I said, or would you like to just repeat it yet again?
No, I'd just like to make another point.
Well, let's hear it.
No, a different point on...
Well, let us hear it anyway.
No, about the hype.
What hype?
Given to certain bands, such as Zig Zig Sputnik. Now,
what has this got to do with Red Rose Radio being or not being a popular music station?
No.
What has it got to do with it?
No, because EMI...
What has it got to do with it? You can't
I'm
answer
about
no.
to tell you, I'm about to tell you.
What has it got to do with it?
Let me tell you. EMI pay out £4 million to make them a
They didn't give it to Red Rose Radio.
Sorry?
They didn't give it to Red Rose Radio.
Well, there was an article in a newspaper the other day about certain bands...
Tell me what this has got to do with Red Rose Radio, or get off.
Oh, I'm about to tell you.
You have 5 seconds to do so.
Record companies pay certain people to hype up bands in certain areas so that they will get more record playing time on the radio. Thus, through publicity stunts such as throwing bottles at gigs or swearing slang...
If that was the case, we would be, if it was successful, we would be playing... What's they called?
Sorry?
Zig Zig Sputnik, are they called?
Yeah.
Zig Zig Sputnik quite frequently. I've never played it. I don't even think it is on our playlist.
Well, you're not
So your theory is bullcrap.
playing it at 12 o'clock at night, are you? I'm talking
Well,
about...
I don't play music that much anyway, but this radio station, I don't think Zig Zig Sputnik is on our playlist.
Well,
I'll find out. Don't go away.
I won't.
Our playlist. No Zig Zig Sputnik. Your theory's crap. Goodbye. I'll do Paul.
Hello, Alan. Hello. I'd just like to say that I was reading in the local paper tonight that 95% of sex attackers came from Manchester.
Well, you obviously read a paper written by a cretin. But then again, if it's written for you, it's written for a cretin. I'll do... I've forgotten who. Jeff.
Hello, Alan. Last night you gave me some advice, but it didn't help a lot.
Never
I
mind.
told you we were going
in that
to...
case, I suggest you gas yourself. I'll do David.
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk about why people have to wait 24 hours before reporting a child, or indeed anybody missing. Surely there's more of a chance of finding those people within 24 hours.
David, they don't have to wait 24 hours before they report it.
Is that not correct?
No. If your child goes missing, I suggest you report it within minutes of you discovering it is missing, and the police will act. What they don't do is enter it as a missing child for 24 hours, because they frequently turn up within those 24 hours and aren't missing in a criminal sense.
I see.
Ta-da.
Okay.
I'll do John.
Hi, Alan.
Hi, do John. I can't get any higher than that.
Right. I want to complain about that Spanish aircraft carrier intruding into Gibraltar's territorial waters, which is
Why?
ours.
Well, it's only ours because we say it's ours. Let me ask you a question. Do you think the American 6th Fleet should have gone into the Libyan territorial waters?
Yeah, but that was international
Ask me the
waters.
question. Well, of course, the Libyans don't agree. Well, the Spanish don't agree that the water that we claim to be Gibraltar territory, they do not agree that it is. They think it's Spanish territory.
Well, who's to say they're right and we're wrong?
Well, you've already made your decision, but I'm not as pedantic as you. I am prepared to allow for the fact that we might both be right or both wrong.
Ah, well, there's either one right and one wrong. It can't
Indeed there is. Now, which are you suggesting it is?
Well, I'm saying it's ours because we've had it for hundreds of years.
Indeed, but that doesn't mean to say that it is naturally ours.
Well, what do you say?
Who gives a monkey about the water owned by a bunch of apes anyway?
Oh, come off, it's not that bad.
It is that bad. The only important thing in Gibraltar are the weapons stations and the apes.
Well, have you been there?
Yeah.
Oh, what do you think of it then?
Well, it's all right if you like apes. And soldiers and sailors.
Look, it's a principle that's involved on this.
Well, it may well be a principle, but perhaps if it's a principle, we have to consider other people's principles too.
Oh, so you'd allow them to sail in, would you?
I would allow anyone to sail anywhere they felt like. They weren't doing any harm. They weren't about to invade Gibraltar, were they?
They was doing that as a matter of principle to try and show us up.
Oh, I'm seeing, and what you're saying then, John, is by us trumpeting it all over the newspapers and the international media and showing what jerks they made us look, we've done ourselves a favour, have we, Al? We've made ourselves look the puddings that we sometimes are.
No, I disagree with you.
Listen, it's just a boat in some pig in water, you jerk. You reckon it's right for Reagan to go into Libyan territory, despite the fact that the Libyans believe it's Libyan territory? You're one of those one-eyed fools that believe just because we're doing it, it's right. You're an idiot, man. How do... Mark?
Oh, dear Alan, I'd like to talk about the privatisation of buses. A guy who I know is actually going to have to pack his job in because he can't get to work anymore.
How does he know that?
Well, because he's got no transport himself.
How does he know that there isn't going to be a bus service? The actual service details have not been released yet.
Well, he reckons...
Well, I don't care what he reckons. He's not obviously got the information to his hand.
Well, he had the newspaper cut in his hand, and it's more likely...
More than likely we're into already. A moment ago it was definite, now it's more than likely, and you're talking about a friend anyway. Bull crap. Get your friend to ring. How do, Jackie?
Hello, Alan. I'm just ringing. I've been listening to your programme, and I've heard a few points put forward about violence and what have you. And I'd just like to say, I'm a young mother and I'm married, and my husband's working, which we are lucky. We're at the moment trying to buy our council home. But I don't understand why so many people can come home with so many points of view. It's got to the stage they're running up each other's backsides. What my advice is they all take their own lives in hand, their own lives, not the next door neighbours or Fred Bloggs down the road. Don't worry about next door neighbour's dog, it's their problem, so long as they're not causing the problem on your ground, on your territory.
Jackie, might I make a suggestion to you?
Uh-huh.
Well, why don't you practice what you preach?
I do.
Well, you don't.
I do.
You don't.
I have got a
If
dog,
you
Alan,
practice...
and that dog
fine.
does not go out without a lead.
Jackie.
That dog does not crap on the pavement or on the grass. Listen.
No.
It craps in my back
Jackie.
garden. I have a pooper scooper.
Jackie?
Yes?
Perhaps you should use it for some of your opinions. What I'm saying to you is you said people... The basic gist of what you said was people should keep themselves to themselves.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you? Put your phone down. Keep yourself to yourself. Put your phone down.
No, listen.
Practice what? No, I'm sorry. You come on here advocating people keeping their trap shut and minding their own business. Well, keep your trap shut.